We want to start today real quick, short little video about doing medical reports within Firehouse. Everybody should be fairly familiar with the layout of the module, but we want to go over some specifics to try to create a little more consistency. I've had several questions here lately about different fields that are required or aren't required and what we need to put where. Also noticing we were getting QA reports back that lots of people are filling out medical reports in a lot of different ways, and so anything we can do to simplify that and to make it more consistent is going to be easier in the long run. So a lot of this is self-explanatory, and you'll be familiar with and know what to put in the proper fields. Your EMS service number, we'll select this box here, and this will come up, and we're going to select Putnam County 911 or EMS. What you're dispatched for, you'll select this box. You have medical, trauma, or vehicle accident. From that field, you're going to go over to the patients. You're going to have your number of patients here. You're going to go here to the Add button. Once you select that, this window here will pop up. You're going to go to your unit, the apparatus that you're in. This is almost out of order, but you'll start up here at the top right. You come down here to the bottom left. You're going to add from involvement. That will pull the patient information in from your NEFRS fire report. And then you'll work in this box to get any demographics that you have or may have, weight, gender, so on and so forth. Our next tab will be the response tab. These times will be auto filled in from your NEFRS fire report. One thing that we want to pay attention to here is that we're looking at our arrived at patient or victim, and that is when we're on the scene and we tell dispatch that we have patient contact. That's the time that'll go in this box here. ALS arrival time is used for the time that EMS arrives on scene. That number hopefully will be on your CAD system or CAD sheet, and if not, it can be pulled off of the EMS's sheet on the CAD monitor. We're going to fill in an initial observed condition and whether it's an injury or illness. We're going to go to the top right here and go to the patient's past medical history and alerts. Nothing that you haven't been doing so far. So you're going to go to this Add button. You'll go to this box here, and it's going to pull up this tab. You'll enter any allergies that you may know, any illnesses, any medications that the patient may be taking and have told you about. We'll move down to the clinical tab. We're going to go to the complaint. So here we're going to put our complaint, our chief complaint, and our secondary complaint if there is one. We'll do our signs and symptoms here. Of course, we'll click on the plus button to do that. This box here will pull up for your complaints. If it's not listed and you need to add one, just contact me and I can get that put in there for you. There again, a list of your signs and symptoms. Just go down and pick what's appropriate for the call. Here we're looking for personnel on the fire truck. Okay, so whatever the highest level on the fire truck is, here and here. So if it's a multiple response call, you have a BLS truck, you may put a BLS an AEMT in this field, and then a paramedic here, but always just put the highest level or the level that is on the fire apparatus. And then you do a primary impression in this field. We want to also check this box out down here, exposure precaution, and we're going to click yes on that, and that's where we're going to add the gloves and the details of that. Next, we're going to go to provider impression assessment. So we're going to go to provider impression, our primary impression. We'll click this box here, and that'll take us to here to the lookup table. We're going to scroll down through here until we find what's appropriate. On our exposure precaution, the best way to do that is to add a group. Once you select that button, it'll ask what your precaution was. If it's more than just gloves, you can select that as well, but usually I would pick at minimum gloves, and then the group would be everybody on the responding apparatus. You're going to follow these next tabs here if appropriate. You know, if there's a injury or illness code, you would add that. You would add that here when you hit add, and you'll pick from this box and you'll add the appropriate code. If you need an injury matrix, if it's a trauma, you do that here. Go to the cardiac arrest. This is for a code only. You'll fill in the appropriate boxes as necessary. Each patient record that you do at minimum should include vitals and or an assessment. No treatment is an option if necessary. So you'll select add vitals here. You're familiar with that, the window that comes up. You'll put in your time that you took the vitals, pulse rate, respirations, blood pressure, who is performing the procedure. You can do a full assessment here with your Glasgow Coma scale as well. From this window, you'll hit the save button, and or if you want to add a procedure, you can do that here. You can add a medications field from here. When you add your procedure code, you'll have your time, who performed the procedure, what the procedure code is. And if there's any assisting staff, you'll select that over here. You go over to the status and transport. Patient status, whether they improved, remained the same, or worsened. Some of these other fields are optional if you want to. This is more for a transport field, which we of course do not do, but we do like to capture the status field so that we know for data later on the number of improvement or worsened patients. We're going to get over to our patient narrative here, and this is where I see probably the biggest hurdle and the most people have varying narratives. We have this set up to auto-generate, much like we do on the fire report, and when you select the auto-generate, it will pull in the chart format of a narrative. And so we'll go back one slide. You'll select this auto-generate button, and then you'll select the generate narrative button at the top here. Once you select the generate narrative button at the top, this screen here is going to pull in. This is going to be your narrative that's pulling in. It's going to give you where you went. It will pull in the arrival of EMS, which on that earlier screen was your ALS arrival. Okay, it's going to pull in your arrive time, and so this is where we generate and know how much time we were on scene with a patient prior to the ambulance arriving. But it'll pull in a chart style format, all the illnesses, any medical history, any signs and symptoms, any procedures performed. The only thing that it will not populate is a small history of present illness, and that's where you will put in your notes as a narrative any additional information that's not represented from the data that you inputted earlier. Here's a basic example of an auto-generated narrative with the addition here on the bottom of this small narrative. Then we're going to go to the other field. Just like on the Fire module, you're going to hit the Add. It's only necessary here to add, as we said over here, the member making the report. That screen will pull up and you can put yourself's name there. Another thing that we're looking at doing, and we're going to try to start, is scanning our EKG strips into Firehouse and saving them within Firehouse. This will actually go on the Assessments and Treatments tab, but I'm going to change screens right here, and we'll kind of walk through that right quick. Stand by. Okay, so what we're going to do now, I ran the EKG through the scanner. We should all be pretty familiar with the scanner operations at this point. And so once you scan something, it's going to open up in this window here. And what we're going to do, we're going to review it and make sure it's good, but then we'll go over here to File, and we're going to save this as. You'll have to browse to the server. We're going to look for Fire. We're going to look for FH. We're going to save it into the folder titled EKG Scans. And the file name we save it as will be the patient's last name, EKG, and then the date. And we'll hit save. Now from there, we're going to open Firehouse back up. I'm within my medical report right now. In the Assessments and Treatments field, where we put in that we performed the EKG, we're going to have that highlighted. We're going to go to the Other tab within that window. There's a place for attachments and signatures. We'll select that. We're going to add. We have to name the attachment, which will be the last name of the patient. An EKG, we're going to embed copy of file. Select the box below that says embed file. From here we want to create a new file. Create file from. We're going to browse. This is where I saved it at. You may have to browse to the folder by going to the server and following the previous steps. But here we will select the appropriate file and select OK. Here's your preview window to know what you scanned in. We can X that, and there's that preview window again. So here you see where we have that file embedded here. We're going to save that. Go ahead and close out. Here we can confirm that it's there and it's attached to that. If we want to run it, we can. What it's doing in the background is it's pulling up the Adobe, and so down here you'll see Adobe flashing. We can select that, make that a little smaller, and then you can view your EKG strip. If you need to rotate it so you can see it and see what you're looking at, you can do that. In the big picture, this is hopefully down the road getting to where we don't have to print off our medical reports and we have all our records in one place. This is just a step in that direction. That's kind of where we're at with that. If you have any questions, as always, feel free to call. And that'll be it for this one. Have a good day.